session, my wife said. Everyone keeps telling me I could do better. My friends, my family, even strangers can see it. I keep defending him, but maybe they're right. I looked at Dr. Moreno, then back at Whitney and said, then let's act accordingly. The session ended right there. Let me back up. We'd been married for 5 years. 5 years of trying to measure up for someone who'd already decided I never would. Whitney came from money. Real money. Her father ran a private equity firm in Lake Forest. Her mother sat on arts foundation boards. Me? I worked as a fire safety inspector for Milwaukee County. Pulled in around $68,000 a year. Not rich, but stable enough to cover bills, save some, live comfortably. That was never enough for her. The criticism started small. Comments about my truck being practical, but not impressive compared to her friends' husbands who leased new luxury vehicles. Jokes about how I preferred quiet weekends at home instead of hitting expensive downtown bars. Little remarks about my job being noble, but not exactly lucrative. I brushed it off at first. Figured every marriage had friction. Figured she'd adjust once the novelty of being married wore off. But it got worse. The first year was bearable. Small comments here and there. By the second year, the pattern was unmistakable. 2 years in, we went to her mother's birthday lunch at Milwaukee Country Club in River Hills. The dining room overlooked the golf course. Everything white tablecloths and crystal. Her father spent the entire meal asking pointed questions about my career trajectory, whether I'd considered moving into private sector consulting, whether I'd thought about going back for an MBA. Each question designed to highlight what I wasn't doing. Her mother made sympathetic comments about how not everyone could be driven by ambition, how some people preferred stability over success. The way she said it, like she was comforting Whitney for having married beneath her station. Whitney just sat there, didn't defend me, didn't redirect the conversation. Sometimes she'd even pile on, agreeing that I could probably do more with my career if I wanted to. I remember driving home that day in silence. When I finally asked if she was embarrassed by what I did for a living, she sighed like I was being difficult. It's not that. I just wish you had more drive, that's all. 3 years in, at a charity gala her mother chaired at Villa Terrace, Whitney introduced me to her colleagues with an apologetic tone that made my jaw tighten. This is Colin. He's with the county. When someone asked what I did exactly, she jumped in before I could answer. Safety inspections, building codes, that sort of thing. Like she was explaining away an embarrassment. I managed building safety compliance for commercial structures across the county. Coordinated with fire departments, building departments, ensured public spaces met safety standards. It wasn't glamorous, but it sure as hell wasn't nothing. I corrected her calmly, explained what I actually did. She laughed it off like I was being too sensitive, like I'd missed the joke. But there was no joke, just her embarrassment. That became the pattern. Every social event, every family dinner, every interaction with her circle, she found ways to diminish what I did. Her father would probe about my career over Sunday dinners at their estate. Her mother would comment on how different our backgrounds were, always with this pitying smile that suggested Whitney had married down. 3.5 years in, we attended a couple's dinner at Bavette downtown. The restaurant was all dark wood and soft lighting, the kind of place where entrees started at $50. Whitney's college friends and their spouses filled a private room in the back. The conversation flowed around me. One husband discussed his tech startup's recent acquisition. Another described making partner at his law firm before 40. A third talked about his promotion to VP at a marketing agency. All of them wore watches that cost more than my truck. When someone finally asked about my work, Whitney cut in before I could respond. Colin's very passionate about smoke detectors. Said it with this little laugh, this knowing smile to the table. Everyone laughed along. I waited for the laughter to die down. I actually oversee commercial building safety compliance for Milwaukee County. Fire suppression systems, emergency exits, structural integrity assessments. Whitney leaned back in her chair. Right. Very important work. Her tone made it clear she didn't believe that. The conversation moved on quickly, back to stock options and vacation homes. I barely spoke the rest of the meal. Watched Whitney laugh at their jokes, compliment their successes, fit seamlessly into their world. A world where I was the odd piece that didn't quite belong. On the drive home, she was animated, happy. Talked about Amanda's new promotion, about the lake house another couple just bought. Didn't seem to notice I'd gone quiet. For years in, at her family's 4th of July barbecue at their estate in Lake Forest, I found myself standing near the pool talking with Whitney's cousin about fishing spots on Lake Michigan. We were discussing walleye season when Whitney's friend Amanda walked over with two other women from her social circle. The conversation shifted immediately. Amanda started talking about a yoga retreat in Sedona, about wine tastings in Napa, about things I had zero interest in and no context for. I listened politely, occasionally nodding, waiting for an opening to excuse myself. Then Amanda said it, loud enough for the whole group to hear. "You're so patient with him, Whitney. I don't know how you do it." Whitney laughed. Not a polite laugh. A real one. Someone has to be. The other women laughed too. Like I wasn't standing right there. Like I was a child they were discussing, not a grown man. I didn't react. Not there. Not in front of her family and friends. I stayed another hour, made small talk, helped clean up. Professional. Pleasant. But driving home that night, I asked what that was about. She acted confused at first. "What are you talking about?" The comment. "About being patient with me." "Oh, that." She waved it off. "It was just a joke, Colin. Why are you so sensitive?" It didn't sound like a joke. She got defensive then, voice rising. "Maybe if you were more ambitious, people wouldn't see you as a project. Maybe if you made an effort to fit in with my friends instead of just standing there. A project." I cut her off. "That's what I am to you." She went quiet, stared out the window the rest of the drive home. We didn't speak about it again. For years and 11 months in, she suggested couples therapy. We were sitting at the kitchen table on a Sunday morning, coffee getting cold between us. She'd been distant for weeks, coming home late from work, spending weekends with her friends instead of with me. "I think we should see someone," she said. I looked up from the newspaper. "A therapist?" "Yeah. I think it would help you understand how your attitude affects our marriage. Not our issues. Not our communication problems. My attitude. Like the whole thing was my fault. Like if I just tried harder, wanted more, became someone different, everything would be fine. I should have said no. Should have recognized it for what it was. But part of me still hoped. Still thought maybe a neutral third party would help her see what she was doing. Would help her understand how the constant criticism was wearing me down. "Okay," I said. "Let's do it." She selected Dr. Moreno. An office in a professional building near Bradford Beach. Expensive. Her insurance covered most of it. The first 2 sessions focused entirely on my shortcomings. How I wasn't emotionally available enough. How I didn't support her social life. How I didn't network, didn't care about advancing my career, didn't make an effort with her friends. Dr. Moreno took notes, asked me how I felt about Whitney's concerns, suggested ways I could be more communicative. I listened, tried to be more open, asked about her day more often, made an effort to engage with her friends when they came over. Nothing changed. She still looked at me like I was a disappointment. Still made those little comments in front of others. Still compared me to the husbands in her circle who made more, drove better cars, took exotic vacations. That third session was when everything crystallized. Whitney talked for 20 minutes about how I wasn't emotionally available, didn't support her ambitions, didn't make an effort with her friends. Then she said it. "Everyone keeps telling me I could do better, and I keep defending him, but maybe they're right." The room went quiet. Dr. Moreno looked uncomfortable. I just sat there processing what I'd heard. Whitney seemed to realize what she'd said and tried to backtrack. "I mean, I don't think that, but other people." I cut her off. "Everyone says you could do better than me." She hesitated. "Some people have mentioned." "Then let's act accordingly." Her face went pale. Dr. Moreno leaned forward, trying to de-escalate. "Let's take a moment," and I stood up. "We're done here." Whitney started to say something, but I was already at the door. The therapist called after me, asking if we could continue next week. I didn't answer, just walked out, got in my truck, and drove. On the drive home, I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I was clear. For the first time in years, everything made sense. She'd spent our entire marriage making me feel like I wasn't enough. And now she'd finally said it out loud in front of a witness. On record. No more pretending. No more wondering if I was imagining things or being too sensitive. The clarity was almost peaceful, like I'd been carrying something heavy for years and finally set it down. I stopped at Home Depot on Oklahoma Avenue, walked straight to the hardware section, bought new Schlage deadbolts for both doors and a Ring video doorbell. The cashier made small talk about the weather. I nodded, smiled, paid cash. 22 minutes, in and out. Got home at 5:35. Whitney's Lexus wasn't in the driveway. She'd be home around 8, maybe later. Probably calling friends or her mother first, spinning her version of what happened. I had time. I started with the locks. Grabbed my toolbox from the garage. The front door took 35 minutes. Had to adjust the strike plate twice to get it aligned properly. The back door went faster, 28 minutes. Muscle memory from the first one. Then I installed the video doorbell. Mounted it next to the front door, synced it to my phone app. 15 minutes. Tested it twice to make sure the motion detection worked. Crystal clear image of the empty porch. I went to the basement and grabbed 3 plastic storage bins. Carried them upstairs. Started packing her essentials methodically, almost clinically. Toiletries from the bathroom. Work clothes for a week, the blazers and pencil skirts she wore to the office. Casual outfits. Her laptop from the desk in the spare room. Chargers. Important documents from her desk drawer. Jewelry from the dresser. No hurrying. No anger. Just systematic. Like packing for a trip. I stacked the bins neatly in the garage with her maiden name written on the lids in Sharpie. Caldwell. Not Reed. Never really read. I pulled out a piece of printer paper and a Sharpie. Wrote in block letters, "Pursue what you believe." Taped it to the outside of the front door at eye level. By 7:22, everything was done. I ordered Thai food, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and sat down to watch the Brewers game. And waited. Whitney got home around 8:15. I watched through the doorbell app as her Lexus pulled into the driveway. She got out, walked up to the door with her usual confident stride. Tried her key once, twice, 3 times. The confusion on her face was visible even through the small screen. The knocking started soft, then got louder. "Colin, are you in there? My key isn't working." I took another sip of beer and waited. "Seriously? Open the door." Pause. More knocking. "This isn't funny." Her voice had that edge. The one she used when annoyed, but still trying to sound reasonable. Still trying to be the adult in the room. "I know you're upset about earlier, but this is ridiculous. Let me in so we can talk." I stood up, walked to the door slowly. Let her knock twice more. Then I opened it. Kept the screen door locked between us. She was holding her purse and phone, looking frustrated and confused at the same time. Designer bag over one shoulder. Hair still perfect from the therapy session. Her eyes went to the note taped at eye level. She reached up, ripped it down, and read it. Her expression shifted from confusion to something harder. "What is this supposed to mean?" "Pursue what I believe." I pointed toward the garage. "Your stuff's in there. Essentials for now. You can arrange to pick up the rest later this week." She stared at me like I'd spoken in another language. Blinked twice. "You're joking." "Not even a little. You can't just lock me out of my own house, Colin. This is insane." "My house," I corrected, keeping my voice level. "Bought it 3 years before we met. Title's in my name, just my name. You can check the county records if you want to verify." Her face went red. I could see her jaw tighten. "You're doing this because of what I said in therapy?" I was venting. People vent. That's what therapy is for. "You said everyone thinks you could do better than me." "Everyone. Your friends, your family, even strangers apparently." "Then let's act accordingly. Now you're free to find someone who meets your standards." She tried a different approach. Softened her voice, stepped closer to the screen. "Look, I know I've been stressed with work lately. The campaign launch has been crazy. Maybe I took some of that stress out on you. But we can fix this. We can go back to therapy, work through it properly. There's nothing to fix. You made your feelings perfectly clear." "I didn't mean it like that." "You know I didn't." "Yes, you did." I kept my tone even matter of fact. "You've spent 5 years making little comments, criticizing everything I do, comparing me to other people, to your friends' husbands, to your father's colleagues, to everyone except who I actually am. Today you finally said it out loud. Now we're done pretending it's anything other than what it is." Her phone started buzzing. She ignored it and stepped closer, voice rising. "So that's it? You're just giving up? What kind of man does that?" "The kind who's tired of being treated like he's not good enough. You want better? Go find it." The phone kept buzzing. She finally looked at it. "The therapist is calling. You should answer that." She hesitated, then swiped to accept. I couldn't hear the other end, but her responses told me enough. "No, he locked me out." "Yes, I'm serious." "I don't know. Can you talk to him?" She held the phone out. I took it. "Hello." Dr. Moreno sounded genuinely concerned. "Colin, I want to make sure everyone's safe. Whitney says you've locked her out of the house." "That's correct. I understand today's session was difficult. but this seems extreme. Would you be willing to come back so we can work through this together? The marriage is over. You can keep the session fee. Consider it payment for clarity. I really think if you both. I hung up and handed the phone back. Whitney looked at me like she didn't recognize me. Who are you right now? Same person I've always been. You just never paid attention. My phone started ringing. Her father. I declined the call. It rang again immediately. I declined again and turned it off completely. She stood there another minute, clearly expecting me to cave. When I didn't move, she grabbed the note, crumpled it, and threw it at me. You're going to regret this. Maybe, but I doubt it. She turned and walked to her car. Sat inside for 5 minutes, phone pressed to her ear. Eventually, she started the engine and backed out. I watched her taillights disappear, then closed the door and locked it. Walked back to the couch, picked up my beer, and turned on the game. My phone stayed off for the rest of the night. I knew what was waiting when I turned it back on. Voicemails from her family, probably her friends too. They'd all have opinions about what kind of man I was. I didn't care. The next morning, I woke to banging on the door at 6. Checked the doorbell app from bed. Whitney on the porch, still in yesterday's clothes. Probably spent the night at a downtown hotel. Yelling for me to open up, that we needed to talk. I didn't get up. Watched from my phone as she pounded for 10 minutes. Neighbor's lights came on. She finally gave up and left. I got up, made coffee, turned my phone back on. 31 missed calls. 19 voicemails. 47 texts. Her father, her mother, Amanda, the therapist. I deleted everything without responding. Showered, dressed for work. Had 3 inspections scheduled. Life continued. At 11:30, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. You need to stop this nonsense and let her come home. Whitney's mother. No greeting. With respect, this isn't a disagreement. The marriage is over. Over? Because of one comment? You're being incredibly immature. One comment after 5 years of her making me feel inadequate. That comment was just her being honest. She was upset. People say things they don't mean when emotional. She meant it, and I'm done pretending otherwise. Preston wants to speak with you. Muffled conversation, then her father's voice came through. Sharp. Authoritative. Listen carefully. You're going to unlock that door. You're going to apologize to my daughter. And you're going to fix whatever tantrum you're throwing. No, I'm not. Excuse me. I said no. The marriage is over. My attorney will be in touch about divorce proceedings. You arrogant little, he caught himself. I will make your life very difficult if you continue down this path. Feel free to try. Have a good day. I hung up. He called back twice. I sent both to voicemail and blocked the number. That afternoon, I met with Roger Henshaw at his office in the 3rd Ward. Roger and I went back to volunteer firefighter days. He practiced family law now. I gave him the full story. He took notes, asked questions about assets. House is yours, purchased before marriage. Joint savings is about $18,000. Her car's leased in her name. Your truck's paid off. No kids, no shared business interests. Her trust fund is separate property. He leaned back. This should be straightforward. Might take 60 to 90 days, but nothing here suggests major dispute. Good. Can I ask what happened? I gave him the summary. 5 years of criticism, the therapy session, her comment. He shook his head. And you just changed the locks? Laughed despite himself. That's cold. She wanted better. I'm helping her find it. I'll get the paperwork started. Don't engage with her directly from now on. Everything goes through me. If she shows up, don't answer. Keep everything documented. Already planned on it. He stood and extended his hand. For what it's worth, about time you stood up for yourself. Saturday afternoon, I was organizing my garage when a car I didn't recognize pulled up. Whitney in the passenger seat. Amanda driving. Another friend in back. All 3 approached. Amanda spoke first. Colin, we need to talk. I kept working. No, we don't. We're just here to pick up some of Whitney's things. Can we come in? No. Everything she needs is already packed. If something specific is missing, text me a list. Whitney stepped forward. This is insane. You can't keep me out of my own house. We've been over this. Not your house. The other friend tried sympathy. Look, we get you're upset, but don't you think you're taking this too far? She's willing to work things out. There's nothing to work out. Whitney's voice cracked. Please, can we just talk? Just the 2 of us? I stopped working and looked at her directly. We did talk. In therapy, you made your position clear. I didn't mean it the way it came out. Yes, you did. And that's fine. You're entitled to your feelings. But I'm also entitled to walk away. Amanda glared at me. You know everyone's talking about this, right? About how you're acting. It's not a good look. I'll survive. They stood there another minute. Whitney started crying. Loud, designed for an audience. Her friends immediately moved to comfort her, shooting me disgusted looks. I went back to organizing tools. After 2 minutes, they gave up and left. My phone blew up within 30 minutes. Screenshots of Whitney's Facebook posts circulated. Something vague about betrayal and discovering who people really are. Comments flooded in from her friends. I didn't respond. Let her control whatever narrative she wanted. 2 people reached out directly. Kevin Park, who worked in tech and knew both of us, texted, "Heard what happened. About time. She talked down to you constantly." Everyone saw it. My coworker Nina asked to meet for coffee. We sat at Collectivo in Bayview. "Whitney's been talking at work," she said, "saying you were controlling, that you isolated her, that you had anger issues." I nodded. Expected. Thing is, some of us have been comparing notes. She's telling different versions to different people. Told one person you cheated. Told another you were financially abusive. The stories don't line up. She's scrambling. Yeah, people are noticing. I thought you should know in case she tries to escalate. When people like her lose control of the narrative, they get desperate. Monday morning, my supervisor called me into his office and closed the door. Got a weird call this morning. Woman claiming to be your wife said you were having performance issues at work. Might need time off. My stomach dropped. I checked your file. You're solid across the board. No performance issues. Just wanted to give you a heads up someone's trying to mess with your employment. I called Roger immediately. She contacted my employer. That's harassment. Document everything. If she does it again, we file for a restraining order. In the meantime, I'm sending her a cease and desist. That evening, I was mowing the lawn when my neighbor Richard walked over. Retired teacher, lived 3 doors down. Heard you're going through a divorce. Yeah, we're done. He nodded. She came by asking if I'd seen you with anyone else. Trying to figure out if there was someone new. There isn't. That's what I told her. Also told her she should stop going door to door asking neighbors about your business. Doesn't look good. She's canvassing the neighborhood? Hit up 4 houses yesterday. Most people told her to leave them alone. Appreciate the heads up. For what it's worth, my wife and I always thought she was a bit much. Too focused on status. You seem better off. 2 days later, Roger scheduled a meeting with Whitney's attorney. Professional, no drama. Just asset division discussion. Whitney wasn't there. Her lawyer pushed for more than half the savings, claiming Whitney contributed to the household in non-financial ways. Roger countered with records showing she spent more than she contributed, that the house was solely mine, pre-marriage. Eventually, her attorney backed down. My client will accept the 50-50 split of savings and forego any claim to the house, provided the divorce is finalized quickly. Roger agreed. 60 days, no alimony, no ongoing obligations. Clean break. When we finished, Whitney's attorney looked at me. Can I ask something off the record? I nodded. What did she do to make you walk away this decisively? People don't usually give up this quickly. She didn't value me. I got tired of trying to convince her she should. She nodded like that explained everything. Fair enough. 3 weeks in, I was having lunch at Oscar's pub when Whitney walked in. Spotted me and sat down without asking. She looked different. Hair pulled back, minimal makeup, jeans instead of designer clothes. Trying to look vulnerable. I know you don't want to talk to me. You're right. Just hear me out. Please. I put my fork down and waited. I've been thinking about what you said. About how I made you feel. And you were right. I took you for granted. I criticized you constantly. I was wrong. Okay. So can we try again? Start over? No. Her face fell. Why not? I'm admitting I was wrong. I'm willing to change. Because I don't want to. It's that simple. But we were good together once. We can get back to that. We were never good together. I was just too focused on trying to make you happy to notice how unhappy I was. What about all the time we invested? 5 years. That has to mean something. It means I spent 5 years learning what I don't want. Lesson learned. So you're throwing away everything we built? We didn't build anything. I built a life, and you spent 5 years telling me it wasn't impressive enough. She sat silent for a minute. Looked like she might cry. I didn't feel bad anymore. Just tired. I can't believe you're being this cold. I'm not being cold. I'm being clear. You wanted someone better. Now you're free to find them. That's not what I want. It was 3 weeks ago in that therapy office. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. Nothing came out. I stood, dropped cash on the table. The lawyers will handle the rest. Don't contact me again. I walked out. Didn't look back. She didn't follow. That was the last time I saw her outside of legal proceedings. 2 weeks later, Roger called. She's ready to sign everything. No more negotiations. Just wants it done. Late October, I sat in a conference room signing final papers. Whitney had signed remotely. Roger slid the documents across. That's it. You're officially divorced. I signed the last page, dated it, pushed it back. Felt like I should feel something. Relief, sadness, anger. Instead, I just felt normal. How do you feel? Like I should have done this a long time ago. Roger smiled. Most people say that. 2 months after the divorce finalized, I ran into Dr. Moreno at Target. She was in the checkout line ahead of me. Didn't notice until I stepped up behind her. Oh, hello. Hey. We did awkward small talk while her items scanned. When she grabbed her bags, she hesitated. Can I ask you something? Sure. That day in my office, when Whitney said what she said, you didn't seem surprised. You seemed almost relieved. I was. You were waiting for her to say it out loud, weren't you? I thought about that. Yeah, I guess I was. Spent years wondering if I was imagining it. When she finally admitted it, everything made sense. She nodded. I've been doing this for 15 years. That was one of the fastest decisions I've ever seen someone make. Sometimes the decision's already made. You're just waiting for the right moment to act on it. Are you doing okay now? Better than okay. Best I've been in a long time. She smiled, genuine this time. Good. That's really good. I drove home with groceries in the passenger seat, windows down, radio playing something I actually wanted to listen to. When I pulled into the driveway, Richard was outside watering his lawn. He waved. I waved back. Inside, I put groceries away and looked around. The house felt more like mine now. Had a few new things. A leather recliner I'd wanted for years that Whitney said didn't match. A sound system for the TV. New woodworking tools in the garage. Small stuff, but it mattered. My phone buzzed. Text from a coworker asking about lunch tomorrow. I replied yes. Another text came through. Friend from my volunteer firefighter days asking if I was in for fantasy football draft next week. Replied yes to that too. Life had a rhythm now. Work, gym, woodworking projects, friends, Brewers games. Simple routine, no drama. Nobody questioning my choices or making me feel like I needed to be someone else. That evening my phone rang. Unknown number. Almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. This is Rachel. We met at the Art Museum fundraiser last year. I work in the education department. I vaguely remembered her. Quiet, friendly. I heard about the divorce. I know this might be weird, but I wanted to say I'm sorry about how things went down. I saw how she was with you that night, and it wasn't fair. I appreciate that. Also, if you're ever interested in getting coffee sometime, as friends, I'd like that. No pressure. I smiled. Yeah, I'd like that too. We made plans for the following week and hung up. I sat on the back porch with a beer, watching the sun set behind the houses. Thought about the last few months. The therapy session, changing the locks, the arguments, the legal proceedings, all of it. Someone else might have handled it differently. Might have tried harder to save things. Gone back to therapy. Given her another chance. But I'd given her 5 years of chances. 5 years of trying to be enough for someone who'd already decided I wasn't. And the moment she said it out loud, confirmed what I'd suspected all along, I was done. No second guessing. No what ifs. Just done. I finished my beer, went inside, started making dinner. Tomorrow I'd go to work, hit the gym, maybe work on that garage project I'd been planning. Life was simple now. Uncomplicated.